Hi everyone and welcome to the video. Today I'll be talking about how to communicate an Arduino with an LED and push button. So an Arduino is a microcontroller used for one-to-one communication. An LED stands for light emitting diode, and we know that diodes allow current to flow in only one direction. So it does matter the way we place the LED in our circuit. So a push button is simple. It has a state of off or on depending on whether it's being pressed or not. So here I'm going to be talking about our code, and the software I use is the Arduino IDE. You could download it for free online. So in line number 1, we see that this is a line comment. This is the way I like to place any comments on the side of any executions or when I declare variables. It doesn't affect my code, and it's just a comment for me for future purposes. This paragraph comment, on the other hand, it allows users. So for example, if I'm gonna send this code to a friend, a coworker, or someone else, and I want to state a message here, I could write a paragraph, as the name gives it away, a paragraph comment, and not affect my code. So it doesn't affect anything in regards to your code. So this function is called setup, and it goes from this bracket to this bracket. And so the purpose of the setup function is to declare whether your digital pins are going to be an output or an input. So here we want to declare digital pin number 5 as an output because we want to control the LED based on pin number 5. So now we go back to this. Now we go to the next function, the loop function. And the cool thing about Arduino is that because there's certain keywords that are highlighted as blue or green, we don't have to declare a for loop or a while loop here because this function is already a loop. So here we write a state of high for digital pin 5. Then we wait for 1000 milliseconds, or in other words 1 second. Then we give a state of low or off for another second. Then we want to turn it back on for half a second, turn it back off for half a second, and once it reaches line 23, it goes quickly to line 24, 25, and then it goes back to line 16. Okay, so now this is one route to get to your destination, right? So you're in point A to point B, and you could take many routes to get to your location. So this second code that I'm about to show has a different approach, but still gets what we want to get done. So it still helps us control the LED state with the Arduino output. So here, what is pan defined? So pan defined doesn't take any memory, and that could be a good thing and a bad thing depending on the application. What this means is that wherever you see an LED variable, it's going to replace that LED with the number 5. Okay, and because it doesn't have any memory, which is a flaw, if you give this value, this variable a value, it can't store that value because it doesn't take any bits, any bytes, any memory. So that's a downfall, the flaw. And then here we have delay 1 given the value 1000, delay 2 given the value 500. So again, the function, we want to declare pin number 5, digital pin number 5 as an output. Then we go to the loop, right? So we're seeing side by side. So now it's the same thing, just using pan define. Or instead of using pan define, you could use an integer, a character. But just for simplicity, I want to talk about pan define as for this application. It's very useful. So now, same thing. We go to the function and we replace the LED with the number 5. We give it a state high, LED 1, which represents, not stores, but represents the value 1000. Then we turn off the LED for another second, turn on the LED for half a second, turn off the LED for half a second. So now if we want to upload this code to the Arduino, what you have to go is go to tools. You have to make sure that for programmer you use Arduino ISP. I've never used anything else for any other applications, and I have an Arduino Uno, so the board is a Uno. Here board, you'd stick with Uno. If you have a Nano, which is a smaller version, you'd go with Nano. If you have a bigger Arduino, which consists of like 52 digital pins and more analog pins, you would go with a Mega. But for our application, we have an Uno, so we'd stick with that. And then a port. Usually when you connect your Arduino to your computer, it's going to be in serial port, and it won't let you upload any code until you select COM3. Once you select this, right, you notice that here for both pairs of codes, right, they're separate. Remember, they're not used together. You see COM3 here, right? COM3, meaning that communication 3, port communication 3 is selected. So now we have upload and verify, and as the name gives it away, when you want to verify your code, you don't want to upload it to your microcontroller. What you want to do is verify that you don't have any bugs, that you didn't forget anything on your code. Okay, so I don't want it to save, and that's just for my. And then, okay, done compiling. So now if we want to upload, okay, I use Control U, which is the same thing as pressing this button, and it's done compiling. Okay, and then when you compile, the compiler checks if there's an error and compiles the code to the microcontroller. So let's just say I forgot a semicolon here. Okay, let's just say I want to upload the code. Okay, it's gonna give me an error. You see, I forgot a semicolon here. Gives it away in the bottom. So put a semicolon. I upload, and it uploads perfectly fine. So now this is, again, these two pairs of code are different approaches to control an LED only with an Arduino. Now we're going to take a look at how to control an LED with a push button. So here, again, we're going to use pin 5 as an output and pin 3 as an input. So the state of the push button is going to go as an input to digital pin 3. And from there, we're going to go to the loop. And this here is a local variable. It's within this function. So we're going to give this variable, okay, and an integer takes up memory, so we could assign it a value. This digital read is going to read the state of digital pin 3. From there, it's going to give the value to this variable, and here these two equal signs means that it's going to compare the value that's stored in the variable value and the state high. Does the variable value equal high? If it does, if the value has a value of 1, or in other words high, this statement is true, meaning that this is going to get executed and it's going to output digital pin 5 as a state of high or 5 volts. Okay, but if it's not, if it's given, if value stores or has value of 0, what we're going to end up doing is it's going to go to the else part of the if and else statement. So now it's going to go to low, and it's going to output a value of 0 volts, so meaning that the LED is going to go off. So depending on the state of the push button, that's going to help you manipulate the state of the LED. So let's take a look at here now. So again, we're replacing the 5 with a LED, right? Compared to this code, we're going to give the button the value of 3, again 1000, 500 for delay 2. We're going to state the value, and again, for this case, I just want to repeat that we use this part of the previous code of just controlling an LED. For this code, since we technically don't need the delays, right? because the LED state is gonna depend on the push button, and we're not just gonna automate the state of the LED. This technically doesn't have to be here, but again, it can be here, or because it's here and it doesn't take up any memory, it's totally fine. So again, we replace LED with digital pin 5 and button with digital pin 3, and it's the same thing as before. You're going to read the value of digital pin 3, which is a button, and it's going to compare the value of this variable with high. If the value is 1, or in other words, if it's pushed, it's going to send out an output of 5 volts on digital pin 5, and you'll be able to control the state of the LED with the push button. Okay, so then again, for future videos, I'll be showing you how to go from point A to point B in different routes. So for example, you could go from your room, from your backyard to your front yard. You could go from, inside the home or outside the home, right? And so again, for future videos, I'll be talking about how to get the same output, how to reach your goals with different approaches. So if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe because I release videos weekly. Thanks.